Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. Today we're going to be making a little bit of a different video. As you've seen by the title, it is called Should Interactive Objects Matter? Now, as you're aware, on this channel we play a lot of games from Quantic Dream, Supermassive Games, Telltale, Don't Nod. A big part of these games is interacting with your surroundings. So, for example, when we did our Life is Strange review, one of Jack's heavy criticisms on Life is Strange 1 was maybe it affects the pacing, but you've got the sheer amount of objects in a room, objects you can examine, and it doesn't necessarily play a factor into the story, but it just offers dialogue. So Jack, I just want to gauge with you, to what extent do you think objects should matter when you're walking around a room, for example?
Genuinely, I think that with objects, it should be a case that I suppose that it's sort of like conditions for what I would like, preferably, is that they should only be interactive if A, they are like a secret or like something, if we talk about a supermassive game, for example, it should be a secret or a picture, something like that. If it's like a weapon that you can stow, or it's like an object that you can use that will affect something later in the game, or if the object, if you are just literally picking it up and looking at it, whether it does have some like purpose for like the story and the character. So like I want to eliminate those ones, and I'm gonna, like you say, dog on Life is Strange a little bit, where you do get these moments where like there'll be a football, on the grass, and it'll be like, I love playing football when I was younger, and that's it. And then you cut back. Like, I don't see the point of that. Someone might come at me and be like, oh, but it shows that she liked playing football when she was younger, and that's her character. I don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm more focused on, do you know what I mean, the plot, the relevant bits of the character, to get to know, and for the story to move at a good pace. So I suppose that's where I sit on it, mate. But how about you?
No, that is very fair. Like, I would say I probably come down on it a lot less harsh than you, perhaps. I do think it does vary from studio to studio. If we look at a game like Quantic Dream, where you've got Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, now a big part of those games is that they will barely do that. So if I, for example, take Detroit Become Human, the chapter I love, From the Dead, you're going around and, you're Marcus, you're trying to find objects to revive yourself. Now, a lot of them will be like red herrings, for example. That's fine, because it's kind of just adding to the mystery. It's like a survival ploy. But very rarely will you have Connor or Kara picking up objects and just having a little kind of dialogue moment to themselves. You'll hardly see it in Supermassive Games as well, a lot of the time, because they're going for horror. And I think, like, you'll pick something up, and whether it's an item that counts to your 50 clues for your trophies, it might add a jump scare, but it probably has purpose. I think with Don't Nod, very heavily with Life is Strange, and recently I streamed to Tell Me Why, certain rooms are absolutely, like, trounced with objects that you can pick up. Now, I think, like, if we take Life is Strange 1, for example, it might be that Max is going around Chloe's house for the first time in ages again, and she's remembering bits from their childhood. I almost think those dialogues can sometimes be key to really building that nostalgia feel and really making you believe the world of Arcadia Bay, that Max was once there, and they once had, like, that childhood before, and they once had a friendship which has kind of died and petered out since Max moved. So, like, there were times I actually would say I quite enjoyed about hearing, like, the spilled wine on the carpet, for example. It's weird because, like, I think with Life is Strange, it really tries to get that kind of slow, chilled, Twin Peaksy atmosphere where, you've got the acoustic music going on in the background. I do think it marries well with the slow-paced game, but not everyone will love that. But then if, like, you fast forward to, say, like, Life is Strange 2, where I significantly cared way less about the characters, that I did find it a lot more of, like, a trudge. Now, for someone who really struggled massively with Life is Strange 2, Jack, I remember specifically how long it took you to play, and every time you would play an episode, you would come to me like, I don't even know if I want to pick this game up. I think that was probably a heavy part that, you know, really sapped your enjoyment of the game, right?
Yes, and you know what? Because obviously me and you have yet to play True Colours, I'm wondering whether this will be a reoccurring thing in that game. I don't know, maybe someone in the comments can let me know. Also the fact as well that we've played Twin Mirror recently, which again is made by Don't Nod. I don't remember, it might just be a Life is Strange universe thing, but I don't remember there being loads of things. That's the thing, like in like terms to interact with or look at, that brought about a bit of dialogue. Whereas, you know, in Twin Mirror it was a little bit more minimalistic. I didn't mind that. You know, again, there were points where it was like completely irrelevant, or, you know, it's just a bit of dialogue, but I really do overall look at it as padding. And it probably says a lot about me, to be honest. Maybe it's just my impatient nature and I just want to get to the relevance of the character or the plot, etc. And, you know, I'm not necessarily appreciating the slower moments and, you know, world building and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just the way I am. It's even the same with LA Noire, like one of my favourite games ever. You know, there's moments when you're at a crime scene or you're, you know, investigating, you're about to interrogate someone, and you're wandering around a house and you're picking up random soda cans or a shoe or something. It has nothing to do with the plot whatsoever. It's literally an excuse for you to pick up an object. It just pads the time out on the game. So when you've had that repeatedly going into every new environment, it is a bit taxing. So yeah, sorry to be a bit of a misery guts on this one, but you know.
It's completely fair. No, I like that our opinions kind of vary on that one. Firstly, I just wanted to ask, like, because in my opinion, there has to be a balance. I know that it's just such a wishy-washy, sit on the fence answer, but as a fan of like Life is Strange 1, I love that game. I do think, let's say for example, you're Max going downstairs while Chloe's having a joint upstairs and you have to go to the garage to get tools to fix her camera. I feel like if it was barren and the only thing that you could interact with was the toolbox, I think that would make the game a bit dull. But if there was like 20 or 30 more items you could interact and Max was still just doing dialogues like, oh yeah, the garden, Chloe and I used to pretend we were pirates out there. If it overdid that, it would definitely slow the game down even more and it could be like costly. I do think Life is Strange sometimes struggled with the balance, where sometimes it would happen a bit too much, sometimes it would happen a little too little. But I do think, for example, Life is Strange 1, it is very much key to kind of really like, you know, getting Max's thoughts across. So yeah, that's what I would argue on that one. But one thing that I kind of want to bring us to now is Telltale, right? Now, with Telltale, we'll take the classic Walking Dead Season 1, mate, because we've covered that on this channel. There were times where I'd be going around the St. John Dairy and you can look at a swing, which, yeah, later on you can fix, but also there are a lot of objects that offer nothing. I remember, like, Lee saying, oh, this fence is pointy. Like, that doesn't do anything for the story. I remember him going around the pharmacy at the start saying, like, oh, no, sorry, your loved one's got eaten by the dead postcards. And it's just a bit like, there are a lot of dead objects in Telltale. Now, Telltale's already quite a slow game with the point-and-click nature. I just wanted to gauge your opinion on how Telltale managed this, mate.
To be honest, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, it could be bias on my part, because I do prefer The Walking Dead to the Life is Strange series anyway. But it feels like that maybe Telltale don't do it as much. It feels like that the Life is Strange one, like I say, it feels like I'm hitting the Y button every couple of seconds because there's so many objects or things to look at. But yeah, like, I lean to, and you know what, I'm just going to quickly come back to something you said before about, you know, imagine if you're going down to the garage, it would be quite dull. I guess what I'd say is that, like, if there was people to interact with, like Chloe's mum, or if you're in the flashback scene, William, Chloe's dad, then do you know what I mean? I'm absolutely down for it, because you're then getting some dialogue scenes and then you're learning about character and such. It really just is like those interactive objects that I have a bit of a problem with. But yeah, Telltale are guilty of it as well. So I'm very interested to see how this Expanse things goes, because as we know already, there's going to be side objectives and other layers to this Telltale game that we haven't necessarily seen in other ones. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out, but I feel like they're kind of similar, mate. I'm more in favour of what Quantic Dream do in their games.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I feel like if Supermassive and Quantic Dream added that, it would definitely kill it, because they've got a very good pacing going on. They're more about sort of the objective. I feel like Life is Strange is kind of like a walk through the park game. And one thing I do like about these interactive objects is that you can ignore them. You know, like obviously sometimes it isn't always clear what you're looking for, so sometimes you have to get through it all. But I don't know, I quite like that you can complete Life is Strange like an hour before your friend, because like, you know, you might just want to go through it and that's fine. But you know, someone else might want to stop, take photos, get all the collectibles, examine every object. Because, you know, some people out there probably really enjoy, like, looking through all the photo books, seeing, like, you know, Chloe and, like, you know, what she got up to, like, when, you know, you left her to Washington and whatnot. So it is definitely one of those things that's really intriguing on how it can split the room. But, yeah, it's, I feel like it's an element of these games, lad, that isn't talking about enough, these interactive objects, because they really do make the world sometimes, don't they? And I'm really intrigued to see what the comments bring here, because... I reckon we're going to have people on both our sides. Some people that just want to get to, like, the point, you know. They don't need that. It can sap, like, the pace of the game and the enjoyment. But there's going to be some people, aren't there, that absolutely love immersing themselves in the world and hearing all the dialogues. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Anything to add, lad?
I don't think so. I suppose the only thing I could say is that, like, my ideal length for, like, an episode is about... like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. I noticed that all the Life is Strange ones can go north of 2 hours, and it's usually that I guess that's where it stems from. That's where my brain goes. I'm like, why is this so long? And therefore, like, I naturally like rest on like these are interactive objects, which I'd be so curious, because there's, even thinking about it in Tell Me Why towards the beginning of the game, isn't there a point where like you've got to go and look for your key or something to get out the door or something like that, and you walk around your room and you can, you know, see all these objects and things, and maybe I'm being a bit harsh because it is at the very start of the game, so you're trying to get, you know, some level of character across. But you get what I mean? Like, it would just be, you know, a lot easier if you didn't have some of those moments there, and as we both know, Tell Me Why is quite a lengthy thing per episode anyway, so...
You know what, it's really odd, because on top of the interactive objects, you can also just kind of, like in Life is Strange this is, you can sit idly, can't you? You can just sit by a tree, you can sit on a fountain, you can sit on a swing, you can just play guitar. Sometimes you just chill with a bit of music on in the background, and it adds nothing to the story. And that, again, is going to split the room. Some people are going to absolutely love that, while I think certain people are just going to instantly back out, like, this doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's something else that I find really intriguing as well. But no, for sure, I hope you guys enjoyed that, like a little discussion Jack and I had about interactive objects. If this is something you want us to elaborate on, we can probably like talk more about it, about different various games that offer this. But otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please chime in your input as well. What do you make of interactive object, guys? Should they matter? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later.